if we're trying our best, that needs to be enough. Baby needs love. That's what our baby needs. Love and direction, guidance, and home,
Welcome to Mommispace. My name is Brianna Bernhard, your hostess, and I am a new mom. I selfishly created this podcast to get some advice and inspiration from the moms in my community who are doing amazing things while raising their families. I've realized motherhood is hard, but knowing I'm not alone in this call makes all the difference, and I hope you feel refreshed as you listen. Welcome to the tribe. Welcome back to Mommispace. I am here today with Amanda Ciurdar. Amanda, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yes. I am really excited to talk to you today. For those of you who have tuned into the Thread the Future podcast way back when, Amanda and her husband Sam were one of my first interviewees. I was so lucky to be able to talk to them way back when. Feels like forever ago. And yeah, since then a lot has changed. One of the things being we're now both parents, which is crazy. But I'm just really excited specifically to talk to you because of your journey into motherhood. It's very unique. And but before we dive in, would you mind just telling us a little bit about yourself and your family and where you guys are located and what daily life looks like?
Sure. Well, my husband and I have been married for 6.5 years, Sam, and we had our daughter. She will be 1 next week. So we had our daughter basically a year ago. It's just
crazy,
so surreal, so insane. And it is true that the first year is basically survival.
Yeah.
And having some cake for ourselves too at that birthday party.
Yeah.
We worked hard. And we have a dog. He's an Australian cattle dog mix, and he is as old as our marriage. So, 6. We currently live in Lake Elsinore. We just moved out here to a new house, and we are still getting used to the area. And my husband is a photographer, filmmaker full-time. He had started his own business about going on 4 years ago, and then I'm a part-time photographer as well. And but most of my time is, of course, spent being a mommy. I am so blessed and lucky to be able to stay at home with my daughter. And I definitely feel like I live in the kitchen, especially now that she's, been on solid. So I'm just like, okay, like what's for breakfast? Clean all the dishes. What's for lunch? Clean all the dishes. What's for dinner? And my husband is, working from home too. So I feel like I make 3 large meals per day. But
wow.
I'm so grateful to be able to do that. And I feel like I'm truly in the spot where God wants me, because all of those things fulfill me, which is so crazy.
That's so cool.
To be doing dishes and cooking and feel fulfilled.
Yeah. That's amazing.
But I mean, hey, I truly feel it's where I'm supposed to be right now.
That's so good. Awesome. Okay, so I would love to just go ahead and dive in. Would you just go ahead and share your journey into motherhood, what that looked like beforehand and leading up to, and then once you became a mom, your thought process? Did you always want to be a mom? Just go for it.
Yes, I have always wanted to be a mom. And so much so that I had my current daughter's name, Lucy. I had it picked out since junior high.
No way.
Yep. I was always totally convinced that I would have a girl first.
Oh my
and that
gosh.
her name was Lucy. And so ever since I was 12 or 13, I had that name picked out for no particular reason. It was just the one that pulled on my heart. And when I got married, luckily Sam loved it too. And we just looked for names that we liked more than Lucy, and none even came close. So it has literally always been Lucy. And So 3 years into marriage, we decided, well, technically, what was it? Like 2, 3 years? I can't even remember now. It's time just is so weird
Yeah.
and warped and blurs together. I think it was three on like during the third year. I was it's just for, I don't know if this is like this for everybody, and I've heard that it's like this for some people, but I mean, one day, it was literally one day, I was like, oh, I'm ready for a baby right now. Like,
That's awesome.
okay, so like, let's get on it right now. And my husband was like, we said we would wait 5 years and we were at 3 years. And I'm just like, no, but I need one right now. Like, you don't understand.
Oh, that's so cool.
So he was not ready. And that's not something you pressure your husband into doing. And so I had to learn a lot over the next year as some of my friends, kind of just onesie twosies having babies, some acquaintances, none of my really super close friends at that point yet, except for one. And so that year was spent kind of for me learning about being a submissive wife and learning how to be patient and serving my husband even like in a disagreement and whatever, because it was a little bit of an isolating time. Just kind of felt like everybody else, of course we shouldn't be looking at everybody else, but we do.
That's
We
fair.
know that we shouldn't. We
Yeah.
do. But, so it just felt like, oh, everybody else is like the husband and the wife. They land on the same page. They decide to have a baby and just voila. Like, you know what I mean? Like math,
Mm-hmm.
right? It just works out. And it wasn't like that for us. We were just not ready at the same time. And so I had to, go through that year of lessons. And so when we finally did agree to start trying about a year after that, it was April of 2014. And a couple months had gone by. I had realized that I had some irregular cycles and didn't really know what was going on and didn't pay too much attention other than tracking my cycles before. And so probably like I just had been ready for so long. I had been ready already for a year. And so by the time we started, it was like every day that went on was too long. It was like unbearable to not like be on my way to motherhood already. And so it affected me heavily, pretty close to, when we started trying, like, when we had a month that passed that it didn't happen and it didn't happen. And I would just cry every single month that it didn't happen. And my cycles were probably about, we got to try every about month and a half. And
Okay.
I didn't, no, I don't know who's listening. Try not to get too
No, you
technical.
could.
And
Yeah, I mean, it's mostly mamas, so I'm pretty sure everyone's like good to go on that
yeah.
end. Yeah.
So I didn't know when I was ovulating, and so we had to guess, which isn't fun.
Wow.
We had to guess when to try, and it really burns you out quick, and it
No
strips the
kidding.
intimacy, from a marriage pretty quick. And so we got tired really fast because we were trying really hard, all the time. And trying, like I said, only came every month and a half, sometimes 2 months, sometimes 1 month. It was just kind of different. So I knew something was off, went to the doctor, had, ultrasounds, whatever. And they said everything was normal. They said everything looked perfectly fine, healthy ovaries, healthy whatever. You're young. We don't know why it's not happening. Give it time. It's normal for a year, yada, yada, yada. Well, it wasn't normal for any of my friends to go a year. I didn't know anyone. It was like 1-2 months, maybe. Like if it was more than 2 months, like then it was going to be a while, at least in my sphere of influence at that time and from what I knew. And so right about at a year, we decided to go see a fertility doctor, which isn't cheap, and none of it's covered by insurance, which is so crazy and a totally another conversation.
Yeah, seriously. That's insane.
So we decided to go see him, and he was ready to do more invasive kind of tests and procedures. And we hadn't even tried something as simple as fertility meds yet. And so it kind of freaked me out a little bit. And so we ended up right at the same time, a friend had let me know about a hormone doctor who does bioidentical hormone creams, which are all natural and formulated specifically to your blood work. Very cool. And I know if anyone's listening that has hormone imbalances or has question about like getting them right with natural hormone creams, they can, contact me
Oh,
directly. I'm happy
awesome.
to get them through that. But I found this doctor in Corona where we lived at the time, and she was definitely not cheap, but she put me on these creams. And from the day that I walked in there, she diagnosed me with something called polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS for short, which is just kind of a fancy name for a hormone imbalance. It's just something that people have to deal with. I believe now it's either 1 in every 8 or 1 in 10 women have PCOS. So it is very common. And I think a lot of women don't even know that they have it because it's difficult to diagnose, which is why I had multiple doctors tell me that I didn't have it, and I'm just like, hello, something's happening here. And, there's no reason or there's some reason that I can't get pregnant. No one can help. It was a very frustrating, time and very emotional, of course. Just crying out to God constantly and feeling like my prayers were falling on deaf ears and just very much feeling like he kind of led me into the desert and left me there, and I know that we've all felt like that at some point or another, and so for me, that was probably the most desolate time in my life, where my faith, I think we think we have faith, right? Yeah. Until something happens.
Totally.
And sometimes it's like, oh, coffee spilled on our shirt, and we're just like, why, God, why?
Yep.
And sometimes it's really, drastic, or it's a tragedy, or it's a very difficult struggle. And so it really rocked my faith. And I was asking questions. I wasn't ever like, is God real? I didn't go there because that's just not, I truly do, know and believe that we have God who's intimate and cares for us and plans our lives. But I was asking, like, why would we even pray? Like, I just was really, really wrestling a lot, and I know that was difficult for my husband to watch. And so being, stretched like that and what feels like ripped apart like that isn't fun. And like when God's pulling all that darkness out of your heart, it's like, you don't even know that it's there. Like, he loves you, even though he knew it was there all along, and you didn't, and so it's embarrassing when he pulls out that stuff and you're just like, oh, I did not know that was in there. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's move on now.
Yeah, for real.
And so that process was just the process of being pruned and refined by the fire, was crazy. And so I got on these bioidentical hormone creams, and for 7 months I stayed on them. And we were trying to get my periods to regulate themselves. And so I had a 7-month period of time where I was not ovulating.
Wow.
I had to do creams at a certain time, and it was kind of like jumpstarting my periods. And so I had about 7 months of that, and I was okay. I'm like, you know what, Lord, like if I have to go through this, that's fine. Like, I would rather wait than have, a miscarriage, because miscarriage is very common, not only in our day and age, but it's a lot more common with people who have PCOS.
Okay.
Because of just the hormone imbalance and other things. And so, right at the end of 7 months was January of 2016. And I just felt like, you know what, like, I've given this enough time, and I think, we're coming upon 2 years, and I'm ready to try fertility medications. And so I talked to my hormone doctor, and she just said, you know what, like, absolutely, like, your body is ready and you will get pregnant. And it was just life, to hear those words. Yeah. And so I saw a different fertility doctor. This is doctor number 4.
Wow.
Saw a fertility doctor who started me on a fertility med called Clomid. And it was the first time I had ovulated in so long, and I had all the symptoms, and so we knew exactly when to try, and I was so excited. And they monitor you through the process, so you can see, they can tell you, exactly when to try and how big your your follicles are and when you're going to ovulate, stuff like that. And so I was so excited, and it didn't happen that month. And I was devastated, and I was trying so hard. It was like I was so tired of fighting, fighting to stay positive. And I had been going through counseling through all of this, which I could talk about, we can have another podcast on counseling, because counseling is amazing.
Yes.
It's just saved my life. And so I just was basically feeling like, you know what, I know people who have PCOS that have had to do in vitro. And so I just felt like, you know what, if this fertility medication didn't work for me, so let's try like one more cycle. Let's just basically get it over with. This is not going to work for me. I'm just so tired of waiting. And so we did a second round of Clomid, and we did a higher dosage. We did like the medium dosage because the last one hadn't worked as well. We had to do like a twofer kind of a thing mid-cycle. And so we did the medium dosage. I ovulated right away, and that's when I got pregnant.
Wow.
Yeah. And I just, I just still remember that day. It was so surreal. And I had never had a positive pregnancy test at all. And so it was my first time, and I just couldn't even believe it. It was so amazing. And so, so here we are, and we have a beautiful, healthy baby girl, and we're, over her.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm so glad that, that we're able to or you're able to go there and talk about that stuff. 'Cause I know that there's more people dealing with this kind of thing out there. I mean, even moms that have kids already too. Like, I'm sure that
Definitely,
so this is really good. Yeah. Okay. So when you had Lucy, could you kind of walk through what that whole process was? Like, here you've wanted to have a baby forever. And you had a natural birth, right? How was that?
I did. It was amazing. I was sick my whole pregnancy, very sick. I was hospitalized twice. I had what's called hyperemesis gravidarum, or HG. And according to Google, 1% of women get it.
Oh my gosh.
So my sister and I actually both had it, but we both have very, very sensitive stomachs, really sensitive to motion and whatnot. But so I had a feeling I was going to be sick, but it was very challenging to be sick. And so when it came time to give birth, I was excited to not be sick anymore. Yeah. So, and it was hard after waiting all that time, to be that sick. And then you start gaining weight, and then you start,
oh my gosh.
I just never expected to think the things about myself. I always figured I can't wait to get pregnant. I don't care if I gain 200 pounds, you know what I mean? But you do care. You've never seen your body go through this before. You get extra, love handles, and you're just, everything is bigger, and you swell, and you have water weight, and it's beautiful, but it's hard because culture, and culture just seems to unfortunately dictate what is beautiful. And so, and then of course you have some moms who don't gain hardly any weight, and I was kind of on the other end of that scale. So, but anyway, so I was so excited. I went into labor on pretty much my her due date evening.
Okay.
So right about midnight. So I guess technically it was the next day, but it was right around there. And I was in preterm labor, or not preterm, but pre-labor, all that, the last half of that day, which I didn't know until labor started.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so, but I had spent months preparing for a water birth, with hypnobirthing classes and whatnot. And it was just amazing. And God totally orchestrated our doula and hypnobirthing instructor for us, and we're still friends to this day, and I get my oils from her all the time.
Yay.
yeah, so it makes me sound totally crunchy, and I
love it. I love it.
I'm somewhere in between traditional and crunchy, I would say, somewhere in there.
Totally.
But I wasn't until I became a mom, and then I'm just everything natural all the time.
Totally. Totally changes. Yeah, that's so true.
So, but anyway, I had a crazy Well, I guess everybody has a crazy labor, right? Because labor is crazy. It's beautiful and it's
Yeah.
like a ride, and it's everybody's story is so different. I
Oh
have
my
never
gosh.
heard
Yeah.
two of this, same stories, similar stories, anything like that.
Yeah.
And so we just wanted to do unmedicated, and you know, 20 hours. There we go. 20 hours into labor. I regretted that. I was like, oh
Oh
God, I need a
man.
epidural.
Yeah, right.
Everybody hits
Seriously.
that point, I think,
Oh
and,
yeah.
or most people. And, no shame at all, by the way, if
Oh no way.
I mean, like
Oh,
women are just superheroes. No
no
matter what
kidding.
labor looks like, how the baby gets here, it's just such a
Oh,
beautiful process.
I'm
And
with
so,
you.
um, I don't know how detailed you want me to go into labor, but it was beautiful. It was
Mm,
a 21-hour labor. My water broke at 20 hours. I was still dilated to 3 at that point,
wow.
and 1 hour later she was out.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
She went from 3 to baby in an hour, and it was
Oh
insane
my
in the
gosh.
memory.
Yeah,
So
literally.
crazy. And I mean, it was just obviously the moment that you meet your child is not even anything you could put into words. It
Mm.
was just blah, everything. It was everything I dreamed. And I still, I mean, I know I only gave birth a year ago, but I think about that day and all
Mhm.
the events of that day all the
Oh
time. And
yeah.
I left and I was like, I'll never do that again,
Yeah.
right? Like I think
Uh-huh.
everybody's like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, no. Um, this day, like I truly can't wait to do it again. I cannot wait to experience it. It's
Oh.
just such a sublime feeling, I
Oh.
think,
Yeah, totally.
to go through that, and it's so empowering and
Mm.
amazing. So yeah,
Wow.
we were very blessed to be able to prepare for that birth, and we didn't have any complications or anything, and there she
Wow.
was.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
I like to talk to moms about like their different passions in life.
Okay.
And there's something so unique about I think you're and Sam's relationship, and that you guys get to do some incredible things together, like traveling, right, and like with photography.
Yeah.
How has that like been affected like with becoming a mom? So like, have there been things that have like you've been surprised at, or in regards to like what you're passionate about? Obviously, being a mom is clearly in that space as well. But looking back over the first year, like, what do you have to say in regards to like being a mom and having passions, and how they're fueled by being a mom?
I think, well, first, let me say, I know everybody tells you, right? Like having
Mm-hmm.
babies is like changes your whole life. It changes
Mm-hmm.
everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially from like the older generation. I
Yeah.
just feel like some people act like your life is over. And I
Yeah.
think that's a
Yeah.
loud of horse crap,
Yeah.
like I don't accept that. And Sam and I never
Yes.
accepted that for our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And there's only like, 2 or 3 families I feel like that I've ever heard of that are truly like living the lives they want to live. Um, while having kids.
Mm-hmm.
Your life doesn't have to be over. It's all about the
Yeah.
choices that you make, and it looks different for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But Lucy has been a very challenging baby in terms of her personality. I actually think she's a lot like me, which
Mm-hmm.
is very interesting. Your parents are always like, you wait until you have
Mm-hmm.
kids.
Oh my gosh,
And that's
totally.
so true with Lucy. She's so wonderfully independent, and she's
Mm-hmm.
definitely going to be a little leader. And I'm sure every parent feels like this about their kid, or
Mm-hmm.
kids. But
Mm-hmm.
I truly do believe God has really big plans for Lucy,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's hard to raise. It's difficult to raise a leader, right? An
Mm-hmm.
independent soul, and
Mm-hmm.
it's hard not to stifle that flame,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Hard not to break, learning how to break the will, but not the spirit. And that's something I
Yes.
am like in the throes of right now. We're just
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, Lucy just threw the biggest tantrum of her life at Chipotle the other day, and Sam and I were like, how do we handle this? Like,
Oh,
what do we do?
yes.
So she was just freaking out, and
Oh
so
my gosh.
anyway,
That's
that's just,
crazy.
yeah, we need some books.
Yeah.
And we're reading some, and whatnot. But
Yeah.
anyway, that being said, I know that there are babies that have kind of more an even keel temperament, some that are very, very particular, like Lucy, kind of
Mm-hmm.
all over the map. And so I think that, like, I think if you have a baby, it rocks your world, right? Like so many tears the first 3 months, extreme amount of self-doubt, second guessing, mom guilt, mom shame, even, comparison. It's just filled with so many difficult things. And so I think at first and forever, for however long it takes for each parent, depending on, the child, you have to give yourself grace. We couldn't like have a baby and just start traveling again right away, which was our passion before we had a baby.
Yeah.
And we did a couple of trips with Lucy because we had to, because my husband still had to work and bring in an income. And they were hard. They were really hard. And, Lucy would scream on the plane, and her sleep schedule would be off, and I would have to be, wearing her, which she hates most of the time. I would wear her as I'm got a camera in my hand and I'm shooting Sam, and I'm like bouncing in between, so she's not, screaming in my face.
Wow.
So it changed everything for us, but we still made it work.
Yeah.
And it's, it's difficult. It seems to get a little easier as she's gotten older, but even we went to Vancouver on a spontaneous trip a month or two ago, and she was good for the first 2 days, and the last 3 days had to be teething or something because she lost her mind.
Oh my gosh.
Lost her mind.
Oh.
And we couldn't eat anywhere. There was just certain things. And so there, in those moments, it's just like, we shouldn't have come. Right. But then afterward, you look at the trip as a whole, you're just like, I'm so glad that we did that. Like, now that we don't have to get on a plane anymore and fret.
Yeah.
fret
Totally.
We're like, you're never going to see those people again. Like, who really cares? And most of the time, at least in our experience, people on the planes have been really encouraging. Like they think we're really brave, and we are.
Yes.
For taking a baby on a plane, and you still live your life, and you still make time for your passions, and you, after a time, you fall back into a routine. You get your baby's nap schedules and routines, and I'm a firm believer in baby routines. I know there's a lot of people who are more like kind of type B, maybe more free spirit, that let the baby lead the sleep routine, and they just kind of put the baby down when they're tired. And that I didn't think that worked for us, because I'm not that type of a parent. And Lucy, I think being independent and with her temperament needed, you know what I mean? Like needed routine and a strict schedule. And she lives by it now.
That's really good.
So, yeah, I would just say, like, give yourself grace with your passions. Let yourself get to a healthy routine, some semblance of a routine. Ask for help. Babysitting, we're in a routine now where I usually can do my quiet times during her first nap. And I have truly learned the importance of making time for that, and starting your day and giving your first of your day to the Lord, and letting him go before you and praying for him to go before you. It's just truly helped my patience leaps and bounds. And we have worship music on a lot, and it really seems to help set the tone in our house.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah. So
okay, so
question.
Yeah, that's great. And actually, you mentioned mom guilt in that little spiel, and I would love for you to just share a little bit about that for you. Like, how has that affected you, if it has, and what are some ways that you press into that and overcome it?
Well, I feel like mom guilt is hard. It is so hard, and it starts like right away. Like you get home and the mom guilt starts because you're second guessing yourself. And for me, my personality is like, I need to know exactly the steps to take, like in order to solve this problem. And tell me what I need to do, and I'll do it. And so motherhood has been one big guessing game. And even if you ask for, advice from friends and family, you get a slew of different information. So it almost makes it even more difficult sometimes. And sometimes, obviously, it's helpful, but sometimes it does feel like maybe an overload of information. And so I think that especially with a difficult temperament, we have lost our patience more times than we, would like to admit. And it's really stretched us. And God just seems to really be teaching at least me this lesson of patience all my life. So it's been crazy, but I really got
Yeah.
to get a hold of this patience thing so I can start like with these lessons already.
Oh my gosh, that's
But
awesome.
it's like learning how to give yourself grace as a mom is so difficult
Mm,
because you've never done this before.
right.
There's no manual on your specific child. We have, of
Right.
course, the Bible to go off of, and we should be doing that. And we should be seeking wisdom,
Yeah.
from the family and friends that we respect and love.
Mm-hmm.
And I've, never ever have I realized the importance of a village
Oh my gosh.
than after having a baby,
Yeah.
And I know you and I have even connected on some things, and
Totally. Oh my
because
gosh.
being a
So
mom is hard.
helpful.
It's
Yeah.
so hard.
Yeah.
And there's times it gets easier and there's times that it gets hard in a different way.
Yeah.
There's just different challenges
Mm-hmm.
as you grow. And so I think one of the ways that I battle mom guilt is by replacing it with truth,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
because mom guilt is not from the Lord.
Mm-hmm. That's
Those
good.
feelings are not from the Lord. Those are lies from Satan trying to
Mm-hmm.
tell you that you're not worthy of motherhood and that you're
Yeah.
not doing good enough and, XYZ, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like those, or this person over here is doing it better, or, all
Yeah.
kinds of things, right? We're told. He knows our weaknesses and he
Yeah.
knows what to whisper and what to say to us um, individually. And
Yeah.
so we don't fight battles, on flesh and blood.
Yeah.
And so we need to be fighting with scripture and with
Yeah.
truth. And so that's why staying in my word has been super, super important to just remind myself,
Mm.
like I think I had this, if I can just tangent really, well, not really
Yeah.
tangent,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I had this conversation with our pastor's wife, just saying like it's been a tough year, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
so tough being a mom in general. And we just have felt a lot of the times that Lucy's, more cranky during the day than she is happy. And so it just feels like we're constantly like, what can we do? What can we do? What are we doing wrong? It feels like we're always doing something wrong because she's,
Mm.
not happy. And as she's gotten more mobile, she's been a lot happier. And it's
Mm.
always difficult, I think, when they can't communicate quite yet.
Yeah.
But my pastor's wife said something, and it just has always stuck with me since then. And she just basically said, like, maybe God is allowing this year because he needs to keep you humble. Like, at no
Mm.
point should we be thinking like, oh, we got this,
Mm.
um, or that we're doing this on our own. Like, we need
Yeah.
to be constantly reminded that
Yeah.
that he's our savior, and he provides, and
Yeah.
he gives strength, and he gives patience, and
That's
in the
good.
light of trials and things. But because I had waited so long for Lucy, she said there was a very real danger of her becoming my idol.
Mm. That's a good
And
point.
that like just spoke to my heart so much. She just said, you waited, and then you get this wonderful, beautiful gift. And, it's very dangerous to be putting something above God
Yeah.
and above your time with him. And so she said, maybe it's just this reminder of staying humble and staying so close to God, and it's so true. I feel like I'm on
Mm.
my knees almost every day,
Mm.
because I need him, and every hour, every day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I'm really grateful for that. But yeah, so that was all kind of tangents from mom guilt,
No,
but
that's great. That's great.
I mean, yeah. So I would definitely encourage women to just battle the truth, even in that moment, right? Take captive every thought,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
and surrender it to Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that really helps me a lot to say no, like that thought is not from the Lord. I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing the best I can, right? I'm
Yep.
doing the best. My daughter, it's nice and everything to do organic and home
Right.
cooked, but
Yeah.
not everybody can do that, and that's
Yeah.
okay, and that needs to be okay. And
That's
we have to
good.
let ourselves, um, if we're trying our best, that needs to be enough.
Yes. Good
Baby
word.
needs love. That's what our baby needs:
That's
love and
right.
direction, guidance, and home.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, and
Amen.
Jesus,
That's so
so
good.
yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, and I can totally just speak to the community part of that pressing into that. Yeah, you were definitely someone that it's really cool because even though we're not like in each other's lives consistently, like I follow you on Instagram and you're so open and vulnerable with your struggles, good and bad, like everything, that you feel like a safe place to reach out to, which I think is so cool that we have that opportunity these
Yeah,
days.
thank
Like,
you so much.
oh yeah, yeah. Like, oh my gosh, I remember like right away I was like, is sweating a lot normal? Like,
Yeah.
but
Yes.
because you had been so honest with certain things, I was like, oh, Amanda will back me up. I know she'll have like,
Yes.
so it's so
Yep.
important to like have those people. So I'm just grateful for you in that sense.
I
Like,
just know how important, those people were for me, and I'm so blessed to be that person for people. And having the following that I do on Instagram has only enabled me to communicate with more moms and encourage more moms and receive encouragement from moms and parents and just in general. So it's always humbling and honoring, I think, to be able to say, "Hey, I've been there. I know what it feels like, and you're going to get through it."
yeah, that's so good. And I'm so grateful. So thank you for your vulnerability and willingness to just be you and to
Definitely.
help people in that way. It's so good.
Yeah.
Um, okay, cool. So, I would love to talk to you, about legacy, and kind of hear like what you think about when you hear the word legacy for Lucy and for your future kiddos. Like, what is it that you want them to hold on to and kind of like have as their heritage?
That is a big question.
Yeah.
That is a really big question. And I think I want to write that down and dwell on it
That's good.
for a long time and maybe even just put it before me so that I can kind of almost like
Mm,
a family mission
that's so
statement.
good. Yes.
Yeah, we've got one of those letter folk boards, so maybe I can keep it up there.
Ooh,
Little
good
letter board.
idea.
Legacy. Gosh, I think that I have never, I look at this beautiful baby daughter, right? This little girl, and I look at the challenges set up before her in terms of our culture and what culture says.
Mm,
And I think that if I can raise her knowing her identity is
mm,
in Christ and knowing that her worth is in Christ,
mm,
and none of those things matter how she looks or what she does or how she performs or whether people accept her or her ideas or not. I feel
mm,
like that's that would be amazing to be
mm,
able to leave that legacy behind. And I feel like my mom has done that for me.
mm,
And it's so crazy because the choices that my mom made in her life, she may not even have realized it, but
mm.
they are impacting generations because
Wow.
that's how I'm raising my daughter now. And my daughter will raise her daughter,
Mm,
or her kids in a way that is similar probably to the way
mm,
that my husband and I raised her. So
mm.
it's a lot of responsibility. It is so much
Yeah.
responsibility on our shoulders, and God truly entrusts these children to us. And um, it's just so much pressure.
Yeah. No kidding.
But which is why we have to stay humble. But
Yeah.
I think for legacy, that would be amazing. So she doesn't grow up, trying to find her worth and identity in the world, because
Mm,
she's not going to find it, right? Everything is going to leave her feeling empty and brokenhearted and
yeah.
disappointed and falling flat on her face. And so, yeah, I know that Sam would wish the same thing for her too. And
Mm,
so we really do seek to do that and just let her know she's so lucky to have so much love around her. We
mm.
live close to family and friends, and so she just gets to soak it all up and learning how to discipline and not sparing the rod.
Yeah.
Disciplining is like a whole nother thing where
Right.
it just
Totally.
breaks my heart to even have to think about
Oh
it
my
with her.
gosh. I know.
You know what I mean? The first time I had to slap her little hand because she's touching the dog bowl and she's not listening to me. I'm just,
Yeah.
I want to go and bawl my eyes
Oh
out
my
now.
gosh.
So, and it's
Yes.
so crazy, like, makes me think about the Lord and how,
Mm,
He doesn't want to discipline us,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, He doesn't want to, but He
Right.
does, and it makes us better. And,
Right.
so
Like all out of a place of like extreme
all
love, like
absolutely,
always for our good.
absolutely.
So
Like,
that's so
no, don't
good.
touch that. It's not good for you. It's going to
Right.
hurt you, or, whatever. And you
Right.
need to listen to me.
Right.
So, but yeah, so anyway, so that would be, I would say, the legacy that we would want to leave.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Amanda, thank you so much for this. This has been so good to hear a little bit more about your journey. And yeah, before we wrap it up, I have a couple fun questions. But before that, you are on social media. Where can people find you? And are like, would you be open to hearing questions from people? And if so, like, where should we send them?
Yes. You can send them to either my Instagram, which you could probably add my handle in there, but it's just at Amanda Ciurdar, Ciurdar.
Perfect.
And my email is amandacudar@me.com.
Awesome.
So,
Awesome.
yeah, but
we'll
feel
put the
free.
links.
I love to hear from people. I love
Awesome.
questions. I love just hellos, anything. You know, I'm an open book with absolutely everything. So ask away, say hi.
Beautiful. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll definitely add those in the show notes so people can go find you. Perfect. Okay, cool. So ending with a couple fun questions. The first being a favorite product for yourself or for Lucy that at this moment you're like, we could not live without this.
We have not been able to live without our white noise machine since Lucy was born.
Yes.
And I will stand and shout it from the rooftops because it has been such a lifesaver for us. Lucy had colic when she was born. She had it for a couple of months, and the portable white noise machine was literally like the only thing that would calm her down. And it just, they say that it's louder than a vacuum in the womb with all the blood rushing around and everything. And so they come out and it's just like eerily quiet for them. And they're just like, where am I? And, it's really hard for them.
Yeah.
And so they're also going through the 4th trimester as well.
Yeah, you're right.
And so anyway, the white noise machine has been absolutely amazing. It's become a sleep cue for Lucy. We turn it on. She knows it's time for sleep. We attach it to her car seat. She listens to it at night. We have one in our room.
Yes.
We all listen to white noise all the time. And so we don't travel without it. And it's just absolutely amazing. So that is we just couldn't live without it.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
That's awesome. I actually remember you posting something about that, and I was like, there's a portable one? Yeah, we're getting that for sure. Yes. And it's been so awesome. Her name is
Olga. We have her, she's like a member of our family.
That is so funny.
Yep.
I love it. And did you have anything that, like, for yourself has been really helpful in the past year even?
Ooh, that's a toughie. Nothing's coming to mind. I'm sure after I hang up with you, I'll know.
Right, every time. No worries. That's great. I mean, sounds like Noisemaker was good for you guys too.
Yes.
I mean, in your own room and everything. That's awesome. We have one as well. That's so helpful.
Oh, so helpful. Definitely.
Cool. And then do you guys have any fun, like, family holiday traditions that you would like to share?
Nothing super crazy. We watch The Grinch every year.
Aww.
And so getting to put that on for the first time with Lucy was really cool. And just having Christmas music on, she just loves to dance. She kind of stops wherever she's at and just gets her little booty shake on.
Oh my gosh.
She's just learned how to clap and just learned how to walk. So she just walks around booty shaking, clapping. She's just so fun. She's just like this tiny little person. It's so insane.
So cool.
So yeah, and then we have a Christmas morning every year at my parents, and so that'll be really fun, dressing up in Christmas jammies and just going over there. And this will be the first year I don't get a stocking. How ridiculous, Mom!
OMG. When does that have to stop?
I don't even know. She was just like, "I'm tired, Amanda." I'm like, whatever, I guess. Just give it to Lucy then.
That's so cute. I love it.
So yeah, nothing super unique or crazy. Just just spending time together and
so good. Awesome. And then, do you have a piece of advice that you would love to share with a new mom?
Oh my gosh, I think I'm gonna write. I was thinking about this yesterday. Yeah. I think I'm gonna write a blog.
Yes.
To myself. Like things I would have said to myself as a new mom.
Ooh.
Yeah. So look out for that. I think I'm gonna do that. And something for me to even reference, whenever number 2 comes around.
Yeah.
But like I said, I think I think just grace, just the message of grace,
Mm-hmm.
giving yourself room for error, letting it be
Mm-hmm.
okay, letting yourself not be okay when you're not okay,
Mm-hmm.
letting yourself ask for advice. Those first 3 months are brutal.
Yeah.
They are really brutal. Breastfeeding is brutal.
Yeah.
There are 10,000 things that seem to set themselves up against you, on top of the fact that you're completely exhausted.
Yeah. No
And
kidding.
I mean, they say that you're exhausted, but really,
No,
like,
really.
until you've lived it, you're just like, I cannot go on another minute,
Yes.
And so getting through those, first few months. And so that I think that's where my heart is, because I know the first few months were so difficult for us. We
Mm-hmm.
had nursing issues. Lucy had thrush. She had colic. She had to get her
Baby
lip tie
girl.
revised.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, yeah.
you
You were
know,
super helpful when we had to do that with our girl, too.
yeah,
That was so
yeah,
good.
that's right.
Yeah.
So, grace, that's just, I mean, if I could just post it
Yes.
in big bold letters, just grace.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So good. Oh, Amanda, thank you so much. This is so good, and I cannot
It's
wait
good
to
to talk
share
to
it.
you.
Yes. All right, cool. We'll have all the links for those of you wanting to find out more about Amanda and her. Just go look at all of the Instagram pictures of her baby, please. Like, one of the most beautiful children I've ever seen.
Oh my
So
gosh, thank
you'll
you.
thank yourself. Yes.
She does have her own Instagram. I mean, she's very
That's right.
cool.
We'll add that too. Yes. She's
Yeah.
quite the popular almost 1-year-old.
She's so cute.
So cute. Oh, all right, cool. Well, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Brie. Thanks, everyone.
Come give me a kiss. I know you won't want this. Thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode with Amanda. I hope you enjoyed that. She is a really amazing person with great resources and is just such an honest, raw, beautiful soul. So be sure to check out her Instagram and blog. Links in the show notes as always, as well as her little baby girl. Guys, seriously, go check it out. She's so beautiful, so darling. Anyways, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to some of you who left a review on the podcast, which thank you. It's so sweet to see new people leaving comments and that kind of thing on the podcast. So this is from Literal Honeycomb. She said, listening to Mommispace is so sweet to the soul and healing to the bones. Every mama should have a listen. Thank you for creating this. Thank you so much to the Literal Honeycomb. That was so sweet. I love hearing from all of you on iTunes reviews. This is one way that we can get connected. You can also connect with us on Instagram and Facebook at Mommispace, or you can even email me at mommispace@gmail.com. I would love to talk to you. If you've got somebody that you'd like to hear from, different moms in your community that you think would be a great fit for the show, please reach out. I would love to talk with you. Awesome. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Bless you. Be sure to subscribe to this show. Tell a friend. Can't wait to hear from you. Remember, you are enough. You are doing your very best, and we are for you. See you next week, Mama.